Evening all. Well, I thought there was a chance this morning that Christian might turn up, but however, he didn't. But I ended up in zone 2, which is practically a win for me. The winning cross was lower than mine. Now, I went only a few pixels away from our average last week because I wasn't sure about the height. So I thought, right, let's go near the average, be on the safe side. So I ended up in zone 2 because we drew some lines from this player in red, and we were up sort of at a narrow band up in that direction. The problem was Kim John over here, we couldn't figure out where he was looking, or whether, the weight of his enormous head was just pulling him over backwards. But he could have been looking just above this player's head or sort of up here. We couldn't tell. I mean, his eyebrows are raised. So it was always going to be a tricky one based on the height on this player on the right hand side. But still, I can't complain about that. Or I could maybe, but let's have a look at the judging. As long as they stayed in a cluster and did the judging correctly, then I'm not complaining. So let's have a look, see what the judges did. Well, 8 judges and not too bad a cluster. Very narrow line. Look at that band there. I'm sure that's something like what we drew was on Saturday was quite a narrow band up there. And again, you can see the issue here. It was the height in that. In fact, I think the height could have been spread out a lot more than that. I'm surprised it wasn't. That one there, the bottom one there, perhaps is a bit, well, the way he's drawn lines there, so he has to be looking through his head. But then that would be to the centre of the ball. So we're only looking at a cross there. So if you have to picture a ball there, then this guy could see the top of the ball. But they don't take any out. I know they don't take any out because I've already scrolled. This is the end of the judging video. I haven't listened to any of the discussions. I don't normally because most of it's nonsense. But yeah, quite a reasonable cluster, I suppose. None of them ridiculous. I'm looking at the judges' faces now, and some of the ones that do ridiculous crosses that don't make any sense are not actually there this week, so perhaps that explains that. But normally there'd be one over here somewhere, there'd be another one over here in places that really don't make any sense. But that's not bad at all. If that bottom one wasn't there, that would have jumped up. I mean, it's a big if, I know, but I'm surprised somebody went that low. But if they wasn't there, that would have jumped up a bit closer to mine, and I might have made zone 1. I don't think it'd have pushed me up enough to win, but it'd have put me in zone 1, and I'd have had all my money back instead of half my money back. Right, let's have a look at this week's picture then. I've had a quick look, and I'm very vague on it, if I'm honest. See, that's what I put my first cross for now. We've got a lot of white space up here. There's a huge area above these two players. We can't really see their bodies that much. The fella in the front is praying for rain, but the fella in the back, we can barely see his hands or what his body's doing. So why have I gone there? Well, let me draw some lines from his eyeball. I put him up in that direction there, mainly because, that's the way I thought he was looking, obviously. Now again, we get the same issue now with the height of the player on the left. He could be looking there. He could actually be looking even higher. Let me have a look where the lines are coming from his eyes. Now, see, that makes sense to me there. Might not make sense to you, but coincidentally, what I also did, and I don't know why I did it, but I drew a line through his eyebrow, from the tip of his ear through his eyebrow to see where that went. And he went right through my cross. So I thought, let's try the same with the other guy at the back then. So I started off from top of his lug hole, through his eyebrow, and ended up in exactly the same spot. So that was a tricky one for me now, because it could be absolute bollocks. But that's what I think both eyesights were looking. And if you line up a head from the tips of the ears to the eyebrows, on both players, takes it right through the middle of my cross. Now, I don't like these things where they say, oh yeah, you need to draw a line from 20 centimetres from the bottom of his ear up through the 7th bloody eyelash, because it doesn't make sense to me unless every single one of the judges does the same thing. So whatever method anybody comes up with won't make any sense unless that's exactly what all 8 judges do and all end up in the same area. And that's never going to happen. So, you know, it is down to your own sort of, well, where do you think? I mean, the ideal situation should be, let me change the colour of the, no, it's not going to have it white, is it? It doesn't make any sense. Let's have that colour, which I think is black. So if I was to say, right, okay, I think the furthest to the right the judge is going to go is there. I don't think anybody will go further than that. And then maybe the furthest to the left they'll go is there. That's what you should be doing. I'm saying, right, okay, so some will go to the left, some will go to the right, so the average should be somewhere in the middle, which in this case, I mean, I draw those dark lines purposely where they are to say, right, okay, let's draw a line in the middle then, and that would be the average. And again, that's only if it was an equal amount. I mean, if 6 judges decide to go to the left and 2 to the right, then it's going to be further over to the left, isn't it? So, you know, again, it's down to the individual interpretation of it all the time. But I think I'm going to be sticking probably in that area because it just for me, it lines up with the eyes and the head in this occasion. I think we're going to have a huge spread for this, for Saturday's video, because we've got this player over here again. Well, although we do have some indication of the height with him, but we've got this massive empty space above these 2 players, because they're down in the bottom third of the picture, and then we've got 2/3 of the picture is just empty. So, trying to pinpoint it, all right, it's going to be this sort of area, but that's a big area. That's thousands of pixels. So there we are. That's my first cross for this week. 3289,843. And I'm only in the bronze tier this week, so I think I've gone for the BMW X1, which I might keep if I win. I don't know. I'll have to wait and see. What haven't I done? Oh, let's get the... I'm not sure if the target's going to work. Bear with me a second. Right, I've made it so the target does work. I'm going to pull that over there and let's have a look. Where are they looking in relation to that target? See, that looks good to me. Mind you, I say that every week, it looks good to me. And it never is. But yeah, I mean, I said last week, are they looking in that zone 1, zone 2 area? And I was in the right sort of area, I suppose. But then again, I still would have been hundreds of pixels away from the winning cross. Anyway, enough of that waffle. Let's have a look at our favourite, my favourite, Revcomps. Well, I didn't win again last night, although I did win £5 credit because during the draw, which I watched last night, and I don't usually watch, during the draw they did the What's the Word, and they give away something like 625 prizes for that competition, so I entered that and I won £5 credit, which I've already spent, because I had £2 something credit anyway. So I got a ticket on these McLarens. As I said on Saturday, they draw 3 McLarens. So your one ticket has got 3 chances of winning a McLaren or a cash alternative. I had one in this Golf R. Who doesn't like a Golf R? 4-wheel drive, 300 brake horsepower. Animals, they are. Didn't bother with this Wild Track, but I did have one on this Ford Cougar ST line, because I do like the Ford ST lines. Right, what did they put on there last night for next Monday? Got one on this Tiguan R. Again, 4-wheel drive. I think it's the same, about 300 brake horsepower. SUV. I didn't go for this Focus ST Performance. I might still do, I don't know, I just didn't bother at the time. Now this isn't something I would normally play for, the M3 Touring competition. But I have got a ticket on it because it comes with 10 grand. And I thought, well, okay, I can insure that and tax it for a year, because tax is going to be like £600. Insurance will be ridiculous. But with 10 grand, you can do it. But this is still under, I don't think it's a year old yet, it's still under BMW warranty until something like September or October 2025. So I might even keep that for 2 years as it's under warranty. But then it only does about 27 to the gallon, which is always exaggerated. My thing is with this, right? The 0 to 60 is 520, I think, brake horsepower. 0 to 60, 3.5 seconds. That's Ferrari, Lamborghini, Porsche territory. And I think, who needs a 5-seater estate car that'll do 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds? How can I justify keeping this? And I thought, well, okay, if I go to Asda's, which is about 5 miles away from me, and I buy some ice cream and frozen veg, I need to get them home before they start defrosting and get them in the freezer. So that's the perfect car to do it. So I've justified buying a ticket for that. As the auto draws will always get me, as you know. I talk about this every week. I'm a sucker for these auto draws. I ended up actually buying a ticket for this Corsa van. I've no idea, I got no use for it at all, but it's a 1.3 diesel, there's loads to the gallon. I might end up delivering parcels for Amazon in it in my spare time, who knows. But still, it'd be a cheap run around. Didn't bother with this Renault Clio because I looked at the stats on it and the performance figures were terrible. I think it was about 70 brake horsepower. It's a slug. 0 to 60 in a weekend. Golf R, here we go. Had to do it. We've already discussed this. Then I had to have one on the camper, obviously. One on the Audi A1 because I do like the Audis. I particularly like the A1s, and this is one of the nippier ones. It's the 30. I didn't do one on this Citroen for the same reasons I didn't do one on the Renault. It's a bit of a slug. But when I looked up the stats on this, it's Kia Soul. They weren't too bad. I mean, it's only like less than £2 a ticket. Comes with £1,000. I think it does something like 60 to the gallon. And it was quite torquey. It was about 250 newton meters of torque. 0 to 60 was 10.5 seconds. I thought, well, it's not a slouch. It's not fast by any means. And I would have to wear a disguise whilst driving it. Or have all the windows tinted so people couldn't see me in it. But otherwise, I thought, yeah, there'll be another car that will be a handy little runabout. So there we are. That's where we are on BOTB and Revcomps for this week. Let me know how you got on, because I think, because we had quite a tidy cluster, and so did the judges. So I think a few of us, in fact, I bet that most of us were in zone 1 this week. We might have had a few nearest cars as well, or possibly even runners up. Let me know how you got on, and leave a coordinate now for Saturday, and we'll make another video on Saturday to see where we think the average is. So if you're playing Revcomps this week, good luck everyone.